Welcome everyone to today's webinar. I am going to go ahead and turn this over to Urena Jones before we get started. Urena, if you want to take it away, let's get this party started.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy, and hello, everyone. My name is Urena Jones, and I'm the Director of Client Services at Jackrabbit. And I just wanted to start off by saying a word of thanks to all of you for attending and participating in the webinar today. I know that we're all feeling the anxiety of these uncertain times, and I hope that by participating, it helps in some small way. I just wanted to say a few things before we get started. Once the COVID-19 issue began escalating and affecting our clients and partners, everyone here at Jackrabbit has been rapidly pivoting to provide resources to everyone. And today is just one example of some of the new resources that we're trying to offer, and I encourage you to keep an eye out for more webinars and content as we update, particularly the Facebook page on new content offerings. The Jackrabbit product team has been making and will be making product changes that are directly meant to assist organizations in the new way of operating, specifically for virtual classes, but also billing issues, class management, and communication items are under consideration as well. So, support is still available to help when you're, questioning anything in Jackrabbit, and we encourage you to schedule calls to expand any learning. If there's anything that you're unsure of, we genuinely, want to help at this point. And so today's webinar is a group of Jackrabbit clients, and they have agreed to share their experiences and discuss how they are responding to recent events. We have clients from arts, dance, swim, and gymnastics who will all share their thoughts on communicating with families, alternate forms of instruction, and general business operations. And so Tammy, who started us off today, who is also from Jackrabbit, she will be moderating and leading this panel, and we'll start off with some housekeeping items and then open it for QA at the end. So thank you everyone for attending, and take it away, Tammy.
Thank you, Urena, so much. And just as Urena mentioned, I wanted to talk or mention a little bit about housekeeping, or I guess webinar keeping. Everyone is muted in the webinar just so it cuts down on background noise and makes this a more enjoyable experience for everyone. You are able to ask your questions in the question and answer interface. For those of you that were on a little bit earlier, if you don't see it immediately, if you move your mouse around on your screen that Zoom is on, usually it'll pop up at the top or the bottom. You can click on that and type in your questions there. Because we have a couple of other Jackrabbit people on, we are opening up chat if you would like to use that as well. I just encourage you, though, if it's a question, it's a little bit easier for us to keep track of it in the Q&A interface, but you're definitely welcome to reach out either way as we go through. I think I mentioned today's webinar is being recorded, and you'll receive an email tomorrow about this time with a link to today's recording. So please feel free to share this with your colleagues, pass it along. As Urena mentioned, our panel, we've intentionally tried to represent a lot of our different verticals or different industries out there. I think the general assumption is it's a little bit easier for dance schools to do online virtual instruction, but there's a lot of things you can do with gymnastics and swim and other activities as well. So we're hoping you're going to get some great ideas and be able to just go away from today's webinar with some energy and excitement just to help get you through the next few, whatever the time frame is. So also wanted to mention, from a Jackrabbit perspective, we've got different ways to keep up with us and ways to stay connected. Our Jackrabbit Help Center, which you can access by clicking on the question mark in Jackrabbit when you've logged in. We've got a dedicated space for COVID-19 resources that we're updating on a continual basis. Urena mentioned Facebook. We have lots of information going out on that. If you're not a member of our Facebook users group, do a search for Jackrabbit software users and click join. You'll answer a few questions and boom, you're in, ready to get all that information. We're also doing some updates and information out on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel, Talina, our in-house video creator, is doing a fantastic job creating new videos. Urena mentioned our product team and developers are really pushing out as much as we can quickly to help you get through this right now and help you with virtual instruction options. And Talina is right on it as well, getting those videos out there. So subscribe to the YouTube channel and you'll get updates when new information comes out, and keep a check on Intercom. You're in database messages as well. All right, so now let's get to the good stuff. This is why you're here. I want you to meet our panel. So we have Susan Mendoni. Susan is the director and owner of Fancy Feet Dance Studio and the founder of Dance CEO. She is in New York City, has been director and owner of Fancy Feet Dance Studio for the past 40 years. 4 locations and 44 years of teaching. She's got students who've done stuff all over the world, really big impact, and has some great thoughts on how to keep things positive and going during this time. Marcia Newton is with the British Academy of the Performing Arts in the Atlanta area. She's been teaching and directing theater and musical theater for over 25 years. Again, another school that has students going lots of places, a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, and keeping those connections. And prior to her time in Atlanta, she was the director of educational training organization in England for 10 years. So she's got a lot of experience in curriculum development and teaching to different audiences. Randy Parrish with the Gymnastics Academy of Charleston. He's included, that's his wife, Becky, in the picture. They owned the gym for 34 years in Charleston. He was a men's gymnast for Illinois State University. If you haven't met Randy, he is the only grown man I know personally that can get away with doing Baby Shark on stage and actually makes me want to dance. He's the director of Flip Fest Summer Gymnastics Camp and has been for the last 19 years in Tennessee, and meet director of the Palmetto Patriots Classic, as well as a tumble track ambassador for 12 years. He's really, really good. I've seen him in action with some of the kids at camp, and he's great at keeping kids engaged and finding creative ways to just get them up and moving. And then Stephen Waterhouse is with British Swim Schools. British Swim Schools is one of our franchises. They've got locations all over the world. He's been with British Swim since 2012 and lives in Ottawa, Canada. He told us before the call he's got snow on the ground, so I'm sending him warm wishes his way. Stephen works on multiple aspects of the business side of the franchise, including marketing, technology and operations, doing work with franchise sales, as well as having been a general manager for several corporate units, including the first one in Canada. Stephen's coming at this from the perspective with over 20 years of international experience in organizational development and change management. So helping people get through things that they might not be expecting. Change is hard and we're all dealing with it, and he's coming at it with years of experience to just see how we can all get in there and make some lemonade out of these lemons. All right, so our quick agenda, panel discussion, we're just gonna discuss a few questions with them. I'm gonna ask them some questions about how they've adjusted their operations and classes, how they're utilizing alternative classes, activities, and instruction, and how they are communicating with their families and students, as well as how frequently. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the panel. The way we are gonna organize this is I'm gonna throw a question out there, and Susan, I'm gonna start with you for this one. I might swap it up as we go, but how have you adjusted your operations and classes for everything that's going on? I know most states have gone to shut down. I know at least where I live, the town I live in, all of North Carolina has not. We have a shelter in place starting tomorrow at 5, which means my kids can't go to their facilities. So how have you adjusted your operations, Susan?
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with Jackrabbit, a great organization. I do want to say that the first 2 weeks that we were not having the studio open, we just constantly were sending them videos of classes that they could take at home. Since we know, I'm in the tri-state area, so we know we're not going to be opening anytime soon, we have moved to online classes. And since I have 4 locations, we've grouped them according to level and type of dance. And so starting next week, they will get a time slot and they will be moving through a class as if they were at the studio, keeping in mind some parameters for space. Not everybody has the same space as the studio. And parents have been so receptive to it. They've been great.
Fantastic. Marcia, how about you? How have you adjusted your operations and classes?
Hello. Well, we're now in week 2.5, actually, of running online classes. So almost immediately, within 2 days of kind of getting the message that schools were going to close, they gave us a 48-hour warning that schools were closing down. So then we had 2 days to set up online classes. So we turned the entire schedule over to online classes only, having teachers come here and film at the studio. So we have live stream classes, but we did change the schedule so that we're no longer teaching into the evening to give the family back their family time. And we just offer classes between 3 and 6 every day, and then Saturday morning.
Fantastic. Randy, how about you? How are you guys dealing with all of this right now? What adjustments have you made?
Well, we're on our 2nd week of being closed. We're still have another 14 days of shelter in place here in Charleston, South Carolina. We started right away. We were lucky that we have 5 really great staff, and each one took a different area. One does a workout, 10-minute workout by Tim. He gets those out on Facebook regularly. We do regularly Zoom meetings. Gymnastics is a little harder because we don't have the equipment at home. Some of them do. I've been surprised on some of the meetings, how much stuff they have at home. But to be safe, we want to make sure that, they have an open area, and we've done the Zoom meetings. For example, my boys team, it was nice because they get to see each other, and that's all they really need. They follow about 80% of the workout because they're showing off for each other, but it's a connection, which we like. So we haven't done any regular classes. I do have information for everyone. If you email me at randy@flipfest.com, I can actually send you a Dropbox links of all those videos you were talking about, the baby shark and the fun stuff to do, as well as the letter we've sent out to parents. So anything business-wise that we can share. Because of FlipFest and Tumble Track, I'm able to give away a lot of free stuff because they support me, because we know without all these great gyms in place and all these great programs, Tumble Track and FlipFest, they receive benefit from all the gyms being super successful. So later on, I'll talk a little bit more about that too.
Okay, and Randy, are you okay for the follow-up email if I include your email in that, since you said they could email you for sharing?
Yes, it's just Randy, my name, at FlipFest, and that's FLIPFEST.com, and just put in the subject Dropbox, and then I usually get a lot of them, so I just send the link right back to you. So.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
All right, so Stephen, I know you don't have one specific swim school that you oversee. You're kind of sort of more with corporate over the big enchilada. So how's British Swim Schools managing this right now?
We don't do enchiladas in Britain. Think of it as a big cake.
Can I say fish and chips?
Yeah, big portion of fish and chips. That's very more sort of seaworthy. So actually, I remember, I just wanted to say a bit of what Susan said earlier. I mean, I think a lot of you know I've been a huge fan of Jackrabbit for a long time. So, and I just know that God, this whole issue would be a hell of a lot harder without the support that Jackrabbit are giving us. So we'll have to remember a shout out to the Jackrabbit team. The bunnies are keeping all our franchisees going. And as you were saying, yeah, we've got about 70 franchisees. We were up until a couple of weeks ago in 215 locations across North America and one in Turkey. They're all closed. We had a sort of partial rolling closure because some of our partner pools, we work in all sorts of different pools, from retirement centres to fitness centres to hotels. And as you can imagine, some of them shut down sooner rather than others. But right now we're all closed. And as you also will realise, our kind of business doesn't lend itself very well to TV. Or videos in the sort of instructional sense. So one of the things we always said to people who are looking to come into our business is that, it's future proof. You're not going to be able to teach people to swim via Amazon. But obviously we're trying to see what we can work that will help give people familiarity with some of the techniques for being safe in water. We pride ourselves on being a survivalist school first. Our motto is survival of the littlest. So we're really ramping up our educational opportunities to get the message out to parents about the importance of water safety. Parents who are already with us and whose children were in classes, we're doing our best to provide additional guidance to stuff that they can do at home. And we've just launched an email today, a follow-up email as part of a program of activity where we're encouraging, for example, people to have a day at the beach, predominantly based around the bathtub. And that gives the opportunity to talk about water safety and having fun safely in the water. And we can share videos of how to kind of do exercises at home to keep in practice, right through to adult learners who can perhaps be working on developing their core strengths so that when they do get back in the water and they're ready to start doing their backstroke or developing their front crawl, at least they've got some fitness experience that's kept them fit. So we're doing what we can, but it has no denying it's very tough.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So let's get to kind of the, I guess, some of the idea portions. What types of activities and classes are you offering to keep your students engaged? Some examples, maybe Susan, if you don't mind starting us off, just what's some creative things that you've done that seems to be giving you some good response, and, how, kind of along with that, what feedback are you getting, and are your participation levels good?
Yeah, actually, we have become really creative. My team and I have done, of course, these Facebook challenges and Instagram challenges that have gotten such a great response, and we post one every other day for them to participate in. We have done live stream workout classes and yoga classes for the parents so they can de-stress because they're just as stressed as the children who don't know what's going on and are out of their routine. And then we do master classes with the kids to make it just fun for the kids to move again and feel passionate about dance. And we have a gymnastic program as well, and we are doing core conditioning and strength building, all the things that they need to continue to do so that they can get, they can hit the ground running when we get back to the studio. The response has been overwhelming. I have such an amazing population of parents. Even for the month of April, as we go online and we're charging for offering two different ways of paying for April. Parents have been overwhelmingly responsive, saying they support us, they appreciate the connection, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But as far as different things, we're coming up with different things every day and putting it into either video form or going on social media and getting it out to the parents so that they feel connected, because connection is what will keep our business thriving. Connection is what the children need for consistency, and connection is what families need to know we're still present. So yeah, we keep making up fun, new, crazy things. I haven't done the baby shark thing, but maybe. What we did just film today was my girls, who of course are dancers. They're 29 and 25. We did a little dance at home, like just a fun thing. And we're challenging everybody to post their family dancing in their home. And then my husband and son-in-law come in and they're doing something really silly. But they're participating and it's making everybody laugh and we're having a good time doing it. So, yeah.
I love that. That is fantastic. And I think that's a great point. Getting the families involved makes it a family endeavor. It's a great opportunity. All right, and Marcia, before I turn it over to you, I just want to mention we will answer some questions at the end, but please go ahead and if you have questions as you're going, type them into your question and answer interface. If you want a specific panelist to answer it or direct it to a specific panelist, please just include that person's name when you send in your question. That would be great. All right, Marcia, so what types of activities, classes, and stuff are you doing to keep students engaged, and how are your participation levels and feedback?
Well, we do performing arts, so it's all genres of dance, as well as acting and musical theatre and vocals. So we try to keep a very even spread of those type of classes, as well as having, the open rec classes, and then some classes that are closed that are just for company members. We've really focused on 4 different criteria. The first one being live stream classes. So those are classes that happen between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Then we have on demand, what I would call smaller pods of information. And that might be to work on one skill area or to feature one particular historical moment or some dance terminology, something like that. And those tend to be like 15 minutes long, and I'm housing those on Dropbox. Oh, I should say that the live stream, we're using Zoom, which has worked really well and is absolutely fantastic to teach theatre and musical theatre. Really just make use of the breakout rooms have been pretty amazing. So that's made a huge difference. So Zoom for the live stream, and then our on-demand kind of podcasts that are about 15 minutes. Those are held with Dropbox, and people get links and passwords and stuff for that. Then the third level is what I would call the skills kit. So that's really to look at not the classroom format, but just firing information at them that is going to kind of really ignite them to want to go away and do some research or practice every day, something that we think the students would really benefit from. And then the fourth thing, which is going back to what Susan said, is really about connecting with the families and giving the families support. So making sure that we're teaching very holistically, so we're not just looking at skills, we're also looking at making them feel that they belong to a community, that they're not so isolated. So in that format, we do things like discos, family yoga, happy hour dance classes for parents where they can drink gin and tonics while they're learning ballet, which has been incredibly popular. But also—
Yes, I am sure so. Sign me up.
Oh, it's so much fun. I can't even tell you. I do all of those. But also the other thing that's really been very popular is every single day I have what's called talkback sessions with the kids, and it's open to one age group across the whole studio. So I might do a 5 to 8 talkback today, where it's just I sit down with them and I just check in with every single student and we brainstorm what the themes are for today. It might be kindness, or it might be what's your word of the week. Stress and anxiety are coming up a huge amount, and then we give them tricks that they can feel really empowered by, that they can practice at home. And that the parents are coming back saying that's huge, that the kids come away smiling, they come away feeling like they can breathe out. So those are the 4 kind of structural things that I'm really targeting to hit all areas of the families. And the response has been really good, really, really good.
Awesome. That's amazing. All right, Stephen, do you know of any, or sorry, I skipped, Stephen, hold tight. Okay. I skipped Randy. Oh, wow. Randy, you go. What types of activities, classes? I know you mentioned a few things, but give us some more of the details.
Okay. One is, like I said, the Zoom has been great. And I love Marcia's idea on not doing it during family time, because I think a lot of people have reconnected. It's pretty cool. But like, both Susan and Marcia have said, to stay connected with your clientele through Zoom is a great way to do it, through emails. We're trying not to bombard them too much. But I've used the Jackrabbit Parent Portal when they go in for their message. Everything that I've done the link so they can go. And so if they've gotten the email for the Baby Shark warm-up or the 10 Minutes with Tim or a Indomitable Spirit workout, we do those with this mental training. We do a lot of that stuff. So all of that is in there. They go to their Jackrabbit account, so it keeps us connected. And that's been a great thing. My wife used a letter from Jeff Mesker, and what we've done is we are offering makeup for the last 2 weeks of March, and then she's doing a family leave credit, and that'll all be in the Dropbox. But we got a tremendous response from that email. People had like 3 options. You could do whatever options you want. A lot of people are paying full price. We had a couple people say, I'll pay the rest of the year. We've had some people, well, times are hard. I do have to drop out. But it's just been incredible. So I think the more information you can get out there and the more connection with your clientele has been really great for us. It's taken 5 of us to really keep that going. We're probably working harder now than we did just teaching classes. But, I've literally started a gym in '82 with about $1 before I even started it, with 5 boxes of macaroni and cheese. So I'm just back there again. I'm like I'm in college. So it's been great.
It's keeping you young. That's what it is. That's why you can do the Baby Shark so well.
Right.
All right. So, Stephen, have you heard anything? I know you said you're still kind of trying to get things ramped up with some of the swim schools, but do you have anything more concrete, any more details or specifics about where you think that might be going for swim?
Well, I feel a bit of a failure, but I haven't got any instant answers on this one, I'm afraid. What I am interested to know is whether or not we can start doing something with the new Spot TV integration inside Jackrabbit. So I'm keen to see if, there's no doubt that there's plenty of technology options available to get video out to our parents. The trouble is kind of what do we video? And I'm also conscious that we obviously want to encourage stuff to be done at home, but we don't want people trying to do stuff in their home pools or situations like that could end up causing more harm than good. So that's obviously at the back of our minds. But I'm very much of the view we heard earlier that it's important to keep the links with the parents, and so we're going to do everything that we can through the different channels that we use to keep at least the dialogue going and suggest what we think we can safely encourage parents to do with their children at home.
Fantastic. All right, so you guys have mentioned a couple of different softwares and a couple of different apps and tools that you're using. And you've kind of mentioned how important communication is. How frequently, I guess, are you keeping in touch with your family, and what methods are you using to do it? Susan, want to start us off with that?
Yes, communication is one of my favorite ways and things to talk about. So I use BOMB, B-O-M-B. And what happens with BOMB is you can drop it right into the body of the email on Jackrabbit. And when they open it, they see your smiling face waving at them, and they click on the video, and there is a video of you talking to them. And it's very personal. And I do this 2 to 3 times a week, just having a conversation with them, letting them know what my next step is and how we're going to proceed. And I have gotten such nice compliments on how I'm keeping in contact with them and how important it is that they hear from us. With April around the corner, I know tuition questions will come up. Well, for me, talking with them with Jackrabbit through BombBomb has really opened up channels. A dry email isn't always effective. Parents don't always open it, but if you put in the subject matter video message from the owner, they're always open to opening that. With that said, I know April tuition is around the corner, and I have offered my parents 2 choices. One, they can pay half tuition and receive online classes, or 2, they can pay full tuition, and besides the online classes, they can get free registration in the fall, 2 master classes, drawing for 2 free front row seats for when we do have our recital. I can tell you that we attached a Google document to this video email, letting them know, please support small business and let us support our staff and let us help keep consistency in the lives of your children. And the kindness has been outpouring. It's been crazy. And as a result, of course, not everybody's going to read every email or even open every video email. So my staff is in calling parents, and just in one of my locations, 75% of my parents said, charge the full amount. We are happy to support Fancy Feet. We know that you guys will over deliver and be consistent, and we appreciate that. And so I'm getting really great responses. I did not give them an option to freeze, but the parents who have to freeze, I'm in the hotbed of this virus, being in the tri-state area. Many of my parents have lost their jobs. And so for them, they are reaching out to me, and I am telling them I'm not going to pull them out of classes, that they are on scholarship for the month of April. And as a result, they will get the online classes free. And that is building good faith with our clientele, right? We want them to know that just because they're in a hard position and we're in a hard position, that we're going to be there for their kids as well. So I just make a note, I remove the April tuition, and I just make a note that they're on freeze right now. So when we go back, we can talk to them about tuition. But that's what I've been doing, and it seems to be working beautifully.
I think that's amazing, Susan, and I think that's really a testament to maintaining that connection with your families. Marcia, kind of to the point of the initial question, what communication tools are you using, and kind of how frequently are you keeping up with them? I'd also like you, as you're going through that, to talk a little bit about how you are handling and managing those tuition questions, because your April 1st is next week. Are you charging less for your classes if they're virtual? You've got an online academy. How's that impacting things?
Well, there's 2 things really. Firstly, we've given open access. Aside from the higher level company classes, we've given open access to all students. So for our rec students who generally take 1 or 2 classes a week, they're now able to take like 12 or 15 hours of classes a week if they want to. So by making it open access, it then makes it more difficult for them to say that online classes doesn't work for them, they don't have enough access, because they've got, instead of 1 hip hop class for 9 to 12s, now there are 3. So they can take the 3 classes, and they can take them all if they want to, and they can take any other genre they want to, is absolutely fine. So I think encouraging people to understand that we're trying to give their kids something to do every day so that they can stay connected and fit, and this might be the only time of the week that they're actually chatting to and socializing with other people that aren't in their immediate family. So I think it's become more and more important every day that goes on. So that's been one way, because we have not discounted. If you're taking less than 5 hours a week with us, we have not discounted your rate. If you're taking more than 5 hours a week, generally that means you're a company student. And I think those company students do need to get support, because they're already very invested and they're not getting the same high level of technical training that they would be able to do, because they can't do it safely at home. So we have decided for them that we're giving them a sliding scale depending on how heavy they are in terms of what they're paying. So they're getting between 10% discount and 25% discount. Anybody that pays full price, we have said that we will take their donations and give it towards a family that can't afford to pay any tuition. We have a policy of not turning anybody away, sorry, because of money. So every single student will be offered a place. Every single student will have full access. If you don't want any access because you don't like the online forum, and I think we've had 5 students say that they don't like, they don't want to do any more online stuff, they're already online all day with school, then that's fine. And obviously they will come back hopefully in the summer or in the fall. But everybody else, we've guaranteed them, we will save your spot because we love you. And it's kind of being invested in and holding the family in the community, regardless of what their home situation is, I think has really helped.
Fantastic. So how are you keeping in touch with your families? Is it just via email, or are you using other things to keep in touch and let them know what's going on?
Oh, multifaceted. So I email everybody probably twice a week. I try not to email too much information because I know that they're getting hundreds of emails from everybody across the board, especially schools. So I try and make those very bullet point emails, and then they've always got links in them to a more complicated, complex document. If they want to go and dig a bit deeper, then they have the opportunity to do that. I'm constantly encouraging people to contact us on our Facebook page and on Instagram. So I post stuff on that every single day, sometimes several times a day. A lot of that is fun stuff, or just to say, schedule's been updated. Don't need to say anything else. You have one link, you go back and refresh that link, and then you've got everything in it that you need to try and make it as straightforward as possible, so they're not toggling between 100 different pages or feeling like they have to keep up with stuff. And the other way is communicating a lot with the kids. So on every single class, we tell the kids what's going on for the rest of the day for them, or we give them the highlights for the week, because kids are smart, and they can keep on top of their own schedules. Even those little 5-year-olds will remember that the disco is on Friday, because they want to be at the disco. So I also started doing those little video 1 minute, sing-alongs, and it's getting a message out, but in a silly way to keep them entertained, so they're not just having to read information, but we might sing something or might flash a sign while we're doing, a little dance, so that it's entertaining for them to watch.
That is fantastic. All right, Randy. So a twofer for you too. One, communication tools. Again, I think you've mentioned a little bit of this, but if you want to elaborate the communication tools you're using, how frequently, and then how are you managing tuition with your parents?
All right. One, we definitely use Jackrabbit email, of course, since we have everybody there at our fingertips. I'm totally stealing Susan's bomb idea. I love it, because seriously, that's great, because they want to see their teacher, their smiling face, and know that everything's okay. So there, we do all of our social media pages, of course, same as everyone else: Instagram, Facebook, Smart Space, Face Mesh, whatever we got. Okay, doing them all. So that's the main thing, is getting out that communication, but not too many emails. That's important, like they've said. And one thing that we did with our families is we gave them 3 options. One was they could enroll in April. We're not offering any classes. We offer a lot of things online, but we don't have, it's kind of like swim. We can only do so much with gymnastics because of equipment and things. You want them to be safe. So like, let's say if they pay $100 for April, they'll get a $110 family leave credit that we are giving them at 10% each month. So in May, if we're back, they would get they'll be split over 10 months. Split over 10 months. So that $110 is a credit. And so they actually make 10% on their money. We've had almost 80% of our people choose that option. So it's enabled us to stay open, not get loans, not do all that stuff. If they are in really hard times, they just do $15 to hold their spot, which that $15 will be applied the first time. We're giving away open gym passes. We're doing a lot of different things. And I include this letter in the Dropbox. So if anyone's interested, I don't want to bore you with all the details. But of course, some people have to drop even the $15 because they've cut off everything. They've cut off cable. They've cut off every thing they possibly can just to make it through the next couple of weeks or months. So I hope that helps.
Well, that is fantastic. Stephen, you want to jump in with this about, I think you mentioned with British Swim School, all of the franchises have closed temporarily, correct?
Yes, so we've essentially kind of paused our activity. Right now, we're not billing for April, but we are looking at whether or not we can find a way to help parents, help our teams, and help sort of keep the business afloat. No pun intended. But we've consciously decided that we won't bill because we're not in a position to be able to deliver very much in the way of classes right now. But we are getting a very, well, not surprising, but a very nice level of desire to support us. So we're just sort of going through the motions this week of what's the best way to deal with that. There's been talk of things like GoFundMe pages, or allowing people to make a contribution in a normal way, but not the full bill, not the full billing. We can use the parent portal to allow parents to make a payment towards the future. So that's all something that's been kind of being discussed both at our HQ and with our individual franchisees. And the other point about, we're using all the channels that you've all mentioned, really, social media. The one that hasn't come up, I suppose, is we also use the app quite a lot, the mobile inventor app. So that's a great way to send push notifications on both kind of developments in terms of openings and stuff, but also to get news out there. And we can do that globally across all of our franchises, or we can have, our franchisees can do stuff locally with their users of the app as well.
So how frequently, do you know, like from a global headquarters perspective or individually, have you heard how frequently the pools are keeping in touch with their parents? I mean, are they still sending out, just regular weekly updates, things like that, just to keep that connection there?
Yeah. We're posting daily on all our social media channels, and we've been saying to our franchisees to send out a regular email. That may be like every week, and I think that frequency is going to change as we know more about what's going to happen throughout April. But like I think it was Susan said, we're able to kind of bombard them with a lot of emails. We do want to sort of touch them at least on a weekly basis.
Right, absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you. So before we open it up to questions from everyone, I just kind of wanted to give the panel just one more opportunity just to, Susan, I'll start with you again. Anything extra that I didn't ask or you thought of while we were going through something else that you really want to share, kind of like your final closing statements before the questions come in that you'd like to share with the group?
I will say this, in regards to April tuition, parents have appreciated the personal connection. So many of them, because I will not run someone's April tuition because I do not know their financial position. Most of New York is out of a job. So by calling them, if they haven't responded to my Google Doc, they have appreciated it so much. And so I just highly recommend personal connection and keep communicating with your parents as personally as you can, whether it's through a video email, a video text, or making a phone call. If anyone wants to drop out, I call them personally and I said, listen, this is a rare time. I'm not going to let you drop out. I'm just going to freeze you, and we're going to continue sending your child what they should get. We understand where you're at, and people appreciate that. So that would be my thing, communication and dealing with April tuition.
Awesome. Marcia, how about you?
I can't agree with Susan more, to be honest. I think that's fantastic. I have made it a policy to speak to every single person I thought looked a bit wobbly. And I feel often like I'm a counsellor on the telephone rather than being, a musical theatre teacher. I'm listening to the parents. I'm giving them support. I'm giving them parenting recommendations. I've got 5 children, so I probably have some experience. So it's really holding their hand through this crazy time, remembering that everybody else is feeling panicked. Everybody else is feeling an extremely high level of anxiety. I'll give you an example of one thing that we've really tried to focus on, and that's being positive and being funny. So the studio's closed right now, so we're decorating the whole studio. So we posted yesterday a video of a paint party where we just lip sank and danced and just was stupid, and the response has been amazing. The parents want to see that you are the safe ship in the water that they can come back to. They want to experience that you feel confident, even if you don't. I think they want to feel like, oh, that's not going to change. That is a rock steady thing that is going to be my anchor in the water that I can come back to right now, or I can come back to it in May, or I can come back to it in August. So I think projecting that aggressively, that level of consistency, positive energy, it's going to be okay, and we're going to hold your hand through this crisis, makes a huge difference.
Fantastic. I think that is amazing. And just a little side note here, Marcia, you mentioned you have 5 kids. Randy has 5 as well. So we got some big families in this group. All right, Randy, how about you? Anything extra that you wanted to share with the group before we go to questions?
Well, I've been writing down everything. It's hard to follow Susan and Marcia because they get so many good ideas. I don't know if Stephen, if you agree, but they have just nailed it.
I do, yes.
Yeah, they're killing it here. But for me, my problem right now is going to be all those dances I got in the Dropbox I've done in the last 10 years. Now I got to start doing new ones. I'm going to be 6 months. And man, it's going to be a little rough, but I'm going to do it because the kids do want to see them. And that's what I'm saying. I want to make more. I actually put them all on YouTube, and they almost shut me down because I got too many views in like 2 days. Because I was thinking, oh, you can't, and I can't sell music, obviously, so that's why they're in the Dropbox. Please use them. Anything that you get, make it your own. That's what I've told most of the kids. Use your imagination. We have a peanut butter and jelly dance, and some people have done it with flexibility. Some people have done the dance. There's a West Coast version, East Coast version, Midwest version. It's so cool. So we really try to bring out the imagination. And I'm stealing Marcia's thing about the facility. We're going to start doing that.
I love that. I think that is fantastic. All right, Stephen, what about you? Closing statements, last little tidbit?
Well, I'm going to go with my my compatriot Marcia. I think it sort of brings to mind that other sort of famous British thing about keep calm and carry on, or in this case, be funny and carry on. I think that's so important because if we can sort of be a reliable, we've always taken pride on being a part of the local family, in the sense that we talk about our national swim family, and we get very close to our parents and the kids, and they love their instructors. And of course, right now they're not seeing them on a regular basis. So if we can get to them through other channels and keep going with the outreach and make more use of video, for a fun aspect of it, where you do a lot of singing in our classes, we need to bring that more to the families whilst they're at home, I think. So you've all given me some great ideas about how we can encourage our franchisees to do more locally, and how we can do some of that for them centrally as well. So that's really been really helpful.
And Stephen, I think you kind of summed it up beautifully. I have kids who've grown up in musical theater and dance and gymnastics, and really what you guys are providing, you're a second family to these kids and to the parents out there. I can thank my kids' coaches and dance teachers and musical theater teachers so much for them helping raise my kids. I think, Marcia, you had a little bit in your bio about it really does take a village, and that is exactly what I think all of you are bringing to your communities. You keep that connection there. It's just, you're an extension of the family. You're the you're the other brothers from another mother, sisters, it's amazing. All right, so I want to open it up. We've got a number of questions out there, so I'm going to go ahead and some of them are general, so this one will get a little bit, if somebody wants to answer it, if it's directed to someone specifically, I will ask that, but otherwise it's just some general questions. So if we can just maybe take a turn or two, or if anybody wants to take a question, we can go that route. So the first one, and I think this was touched on a little bit, but just to make clear, the question is, are studios charging the same tuition or reduced rate for online? And is there a common threshold? And I think, Susan, you mentioned you were discounting, and Marcia, if I'm correct, I think you said you were keeping it the same, but they got more options. Is that correct?
So for me, I'm not discounting. I'm offering 2 ways to pay. One, paying the full monthly tuition, and they'll get extra bonuses because they're supporting Fancy Feet and they are still getting the online classes. And 2 is half tuition for those parents who really want their children in it that can't afford the full tuition right now.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
And Jason asked, what social media or video platform are you using to get your instructional videos out to your clients? We're posting daily videos on Facebook. Now, I know you guys mentioned Zoom and Dropbox and Facebook. And Susan, you mentioned BombBomb. Was there anything else?
For
Just
me,
video them on my iPhone and then put it onto Dropbox and off you go.
Okay, fantastic. So iPhone and onto Dropbox, that's even easier.
The other thing I was thinking of, Tammy, and I've only
Mhm.
just kind of got abreast of it, is whether or not should we be doing anything with the Spot TV thing? I mean, is that a way to get stuff to people inside the parent portal?
Well, and that is a fantastic question, Stephen. So Spot TV can do the video streaming, but it does not have audio. So if you're talking and giving instruction, and Marie, you're on the line too, so keep me honest on this one, just because I've not had a chance to play with it a ton. There's not audio, so if you're trying to give instruction, they're not going to have that feasibility. But we also, if our attendees are not aware, our product team and developers worked really hard within the last couple of weeks and have some new enhancements coming out. We do have a link that has been put on the summary tab of classes where you can put a link to a virtual class or a link to a Dropbox, and that is visible in the parent portal. So as you're creating these, I think Randy mentioned he loves Dropbox. You can create one Google document with all of your links in it, put it in Dropbox, and put that Dropbox link on the summary tab. It's all the way down at the bottom of your parent portal of your class, and then the parents can see it and click on it from the parent portal. All right, so next question, and I think, I'm trying to think, I think we've answered, let's see. I'm scrolling through, some of them are on billing stuff, and I think we've guys have already talked about that. For smaller studios, how can they produce classes every day, and what curriculum are you using? Is it the same as if you were open, or are you adjusting?
Can I answer that?
Absolutely.
We've made significant changes because you just can't do across the floor stuff. You can't do big choreography. And we have advanced ballet dancers, so that again is challenging. We're really kind of focusing on the Vagonova floor work as being an area to develop, so that they're really focusing on core strength, because we've got to really be aware where girls are dancing on point, that the floor that they're dancing on is appropriate, that people don't slip and have injuries. We're also very, very kind of mindful of people not dancing beyond their skill level and ending up creating bad habits. So really trying to they're going to feel like they're being pulled back in terms of what they're doing. It might be slower exercises, it might be more intense, but it's actually really kind of deep Pilates, yoga type stretching and work that is going to make long-term improvements, but not be, tons of turns and leaps. That's out of the question.
And I think that's, go ahead, Susan.
I just want to make a comment about producing classes every day. So for me, I have 12 classrooms going on from 4:30 to 9:30 every day, and some earlier classes. And as a smaller studio, you may be able to keep up with the schedule that you have, and that's great. But you also have to look at your finances and what's coming in to make sure you can pay those teachers. And if you have even 2 classes going on at the same time, you definitely want to be mindful that, like Marcia said, you're not overdoing it as far as space, because they don't have the space. A lot of my clients are in apartments. But you also want to be mindful of your pocketbook and paying teachers and making sure that you're not overspending during a time you may not be getting all the finances in that you normally would.
Absolutely. I think those are some great points. And I want to touch on what Marcia said too. Some of the feedback I'm hearing from some other classes about the core strengthening. That is something that's great with, gymnastics and swim. You can't get them in the pool. You may not be able to get them on the beam or the high bar, but core strengthening is good all the time. Cardio is beneficial. So there's a lot of outside, and nutrition classes this is a great time to get some of that in as well. All right, another question. Some of my company students are looking to continue their private lessons via FaceTime. Is anyone else doing this? And if so, are you charging the regular fee?
We are doing it, but we're not charging the regular fee. And we're doing it predominantly because we've got some competition students who are hoping to compete in the summer and want to keep their skills up and their choreography up. What we're doing is paying the staff the general hourly rate, which is less than the private tuition rate, so that they're still getting their hourly rate and the students are having to pay a prorated part of that.
Okay,
Agreed.
cool.
I do the same thing.
Okay, thank you both. All right, so another question, and Brittany, I'm going to read this out loud. I'm not quite sure I'm understanding, but Brittany is saying, I'm having more feedback from families regarding they don't want to be in classes due to the virus compared to the finance side and are canceling due to that. Are others having this experience?
I can answer this because
Okay.
I don't let anyone quit during this time. I don't. I would just say to them, we don't know when this will be over. It may be in 2 weeks or it may be in 2 months. So we're just going to freeze your account right now because you are a student at my school and we care about you and we care about the growth of your child as a dancer or a gymnast. And we want to, we know that this is unprecedented times. And so let's not pull the button on quitting right now. Let's just freeze your account so we can move forward when things happen and where everything is safe to go back into the classroom.
Tammy, we had 3 emails when we were open. We had 3 that had an immune deficiency, and that was their concern. And we totally that, but as far as doing the virtual part now, it just really doesn't affect them. So they're continuing on with one of our options that we've given them.
Okay, fantastic.
Tammy, we had some of those questions as well, but it was more a case of parents just wanting reassurance, which of course we were happy to give at the time, and not least of which because being in a chlorinated pool is quite a safe place to be. But obviously then events overtook us and we had to close. But we were able to persuade everybody who did check in with us that they were okay to be with us at that time.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we've got a few more questions. If you guys, I know we're getting close to the top of the hour. If you're okay for letting us do just a few more and run just a few minutes over, that work for everybody, just for maybe another 5 minutes after?
Sure.
Yeah, fine.
All right, so I'm going to see if I can get a few more of these in before we wrap today. So this is a great question. How are you dealing with recital cancellations and recognition for seniors?
Well, for me,
Go on. Go ahead, Sue.
Marcia, you go first.
Right. I'm telling them I'm not making any decision about recitals yet. I can't do that until we know when we're going back to school. Theatre bookings are a huge issue in this area. You have to book at least a year in advance. The only time of the year where there's some availability tends to be October. So I have said to people, if it's possible, we may well look at having a mini version of recital that's maybe shorter and more fun-based, and doing that in October. So we're going to credit any recital fees over to that point. If for any reason we don't have recital in October, then the recital fees they've paid this year will be credited to their accounts next year. We are not doing any refunds.
Agreed. As far as recital, I'm not making any decision yet. Mine are always the end of June. If yours are in May, I know many dance studios do them in May. I would just look towards having it in July or having it at another time, like Marcia said. And I am not thinking about canceling my recital just now.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so another one, it's kind of a little bit of a multi-part. I have a small space and can't get my entire body in the video, and I'm having camera issues. How do you get sound, vocals, and video all to work together?
Well, are they using what? Well, I guess if they're using Zoom, sound isn't perfect. I don't know if any of these platforms are perfect for a dance/conditioning kind of class, because obviously it's usually you're sitting at a desk and you're looking at your computer, and now we need our entire body in the video. But I do think that do the best you can. We did a workout class yesterday and we took it outside. And so we did it outside with some extra layers on, and we were able to get a bigger view and able to get our bodies into that, that screen. But sound wise, we tell the parents, we are playing the music. If for some reason that music doesn't come through, we want the children to follow along as well. Their recital music and that such, we email directly. So they have that to practice, and they have a recital video from the teacher to also practice. So for that part, we're not worried about it. But for regular class, it's not ideal. I mean, maybe one of the others would know a better platform.
Hey, Tammy, it's Urena.
Yeah.
Just maybe a point for anybody on the webinar that's curious is that we did have a presentation yesterday by a woman named Audra Allen, who's been doing virtual classes for at least a year now. And she had some great suggestions in terms of filming, you know, floors, sound, all of that. And so anybody who wants a recording of that webinar could receive that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Urena. And one of the things Audra mentioned is be creative. Move your laptop. If you're filming with your laptop and you're working on the feet, sit it down on the floor and show your feet. If you need to work on upper body, sit it up on some boxes or chairs, work on your upper body. I love the outside option. I know it's not always possible. Stephen, that wouldn't work for you with snow on the ground right now, but you know, get creative sometimes.
Just as sorry, Tammy, just as a simple point, like the some of the latest iPhones actually come with built-in wide-angle lenses, so you can use all of the features together with just a bigger lens. And if you're talking about doing it through your laptop, some of the iPhone lenses that you can buy on Amazon very inexpensively, they will also work over the camera on a laptop. You just have to kind of stick them into place. And you can get a full kind of wide angle view on even a small space, and then of course the audio is already there, so that's just perhaps a sort of simple workaround.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you too, audio is tricky. Just because we've done these webinars for a while, audio is tricky. We actually had everybody on the panel get on half an hour early just for sound checks, because sometimes a headset will work one day and it sounds funky the next day. Sometimes you really do just have to trial and error and play with it a little bit, try your options. And then go ahead.
Sorry, can I say something about sound? Just be aware.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't put your speaker next to your recording device. I try and get them to have it in a triangle. So triangulate your speaker, your recording device, and your teacher. So that helps to even out the sound.
Brilliant. Absolutely. And a couple of you have sent in questions about accessing the webinar from yesterday. We can pull a report from everybody that's registered for today, and I will make sure that you guys all get an email. We'll either include it in the same email with the link to today's recording, or we'll send one separate. So I'll make sure if you've registered for today, you'll get a copy of the webinar from yesterday as well. All right, just a couple more. I'm trying to see. All right, so one question that I know I've heard a little bit that I just am curious what the panel wants to give some feedback on. We realize that many studios are using Zoom, but we are concerned about two things. One, Zoom does not have a music license with ASCAP or BMI, and two, Zoom is not protected and can open users to hackers to view the user's camera. You guys concerned about that right now, or are you just trying to get through?
I have a workaround for that.
Okay.
Somebody in another group that I'm in posted, which was excellent. The hacking thing is a really big, major issue. But if you go into your settings in Zoom and you ensure that nobody can start before the host, so you disable the feature that means they can wait in the waiting room or that they can get onto the call before you're on. And that way, they can't start until you're in the room, and then you're able to invite people in, you can have them register. So that puts the host in control, which I think is your safeguard for that. In addition, we always have somebody, because we're running 3, sometimes 4 studios at the same time, I always have somebody in the office with all of those screens up in front of them, so that if there's any problem, they can just lock it down. If we need to close the whole meeting, then that's what we would do. And I sent out recommendations and advice. This is the house rules when you're coming on, and you're coming on to Zoom for our customers, so that they know they have to have their camera on. That's mandatory. I have to be able to see it's my students.
And we've got Marie, if you can really quickly, just because I know Marie is a yoga teacher as well. She's a Jackrabbit support genius. But Marie, if you would share what your yoga studio is doing with the projection, I think that would be fantastic.
Hi, everybody. So what we are doing is we all have, we're teaching from home now. So I have a projector. It was a Christmas gift for my son, but I've taken it over, and I am projecting all of my students on one huge wall. So I don't have to be looking at like just my small little computer monitor. So that's helping a lot, because I can actually see all of my 20, 30 bodies at one time when I have them in a class.
Thank you. I think she sent a screenshot of that, and I thought that was really cool. So as I'm getting older, I need the enlargement anyway. So it's just a great way so you're not staring at your computer screen. All right, and I'm going to take 2 more questions, and I think we're going to call it a wrap. For our class times on Zoom, the same length as our classes in studio, or is the time reduced since not as much can be done?
Well, for me, Zoom, I'm doing the free version because we don't want to increase our expenses. So all mine are 30 to 40 minutes. But if you upgrade, you can do a lot more. But we're at that amount of time just because that's what's restricted by Zoom.
Okay, anybody else?
We do 30-minute classes for open students, because I think 30 minutes virtual teaching is different. And I think 30 minutes is a good time. They come off the call wanting more. You don't lose their attention span. But then I do have several 30 minutes. There might be 2 or 3 back to back for that age group, so that they can pop into another call if they want to. And then with the company classes, we do the full hour, 90 minutes for all of their classes, because we expect they already have a level of dedication, and we expect that to be reflected.
Yeah, I'm doing 45 minutes to an hour with my classes, depending on the age group. I agree with Marcia that especially my young ones, they don't have the attention span to look at a screen for the whole time, unless of course the parents are really creative and they launch it on their TV screen, which helps tremendously. So I always recommend the parents do that if they can.
Okay, fantastic. And then we do have, I just want to respect everybody's time. I'm going to do one more question. I know everyone did not get your questions answered. If you really, really are just pressed to know something and really just feel like you're not sure, we will include, Randy mentioned he's going to share the Dropbox information. I'll include that email. Again, it was randy@flipfest.com if you don't want to wait for our email. But just if you're really stuck, reach out to support. They can get it back to me. We can help you as best we can. Just want to thank everybody. We have had a really good sized group today. And so last question, just kind of touching on, because I don't think this has been mentioned, has anyone reduced their teacher's pay rate for Zoom classes? Are you keeping it the same?
I myself are keeping it the same. I look at my finances in a 3-month range, and I recommend everybody start doing that to see what you have and what you're collecting for April, so you can better and more knowledgeably contact and tackle that question. For me, I'm able to still continue to pay the teachers who are doing the Zoom their full rate, because not every teacher is working right now. I just have a handful of teachers that are are doing this. So it's definitely possible. And if you guys have any questions for me, you can contact me at fancyfeetco@gmail.com as well.
And I'll include that as well. So thank you for that. And anybody else want to tackle what you're doing with your instructors?
I would say similar to what Susan's doing. My instructors now only have a 3-hour lineup, and I gave everybody that wanted, mostly everybody that wanted class, 1 day a week. So you've got a 70% reduction in the time that they're here. So I certainly haven't reduced the amount that they're being paid because their hours are already considerably down. And like Susan, we'll just be looking forward to see if everybody pays and the revenue's coming in, then we'll be able to increase the number of hours that we're offering, or maybe offer more one-to-one time. If anybody has any questions, I'm quite happy, Tammy, for you to include my email, and it's marsha@bapa.us, which is marsha@bapa.us.
All right, awesome, and I'll include that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you so much. I cannot begin to express just what each of you, the panel, the heart that is coming through and what you're doing for your communities is just amazing. And I am so thankful to be a part of such a great company and to work alongside with clients that are really out there. You guys are really putting your families first. And I just want to thank you personally for doing that, but also being so willing and open to share what you're doing with others, so other organizations and dance studios and swim schools and gymnastics can do the same. And I will make sure that emails are included. I do know we had a couple of questions come in about setting up Zoom and then the projector. If you have specific questions about that, you can also reach out to support. And Marie said that just send it to support and ask for Marie, and the questions can go to her, and she's more than happy to take some of those on the backside if we didn't get to them today. Thank you guys so much. Susan, Marsha, Randy, Stephen, thank you guys for being so gracious and so generous-hearted. And all my Jackrabbit people, we've got Urena, Lisa, Marie, and Talina quietly in the background doing a backup recording just in case we need. Thanks to you guys as well. And everybody have a great day, and we hope to see you in another webinar or in person soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.